can start with Dr. Abimbola. You have 8 minutes each. Over to you.
Thank you so much. I'll be sharing my screen now. Please, can we see my screen? Sorry, can we see my screen?
Not yet.
Yet? Okay, now we can see your screen.
You can see. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Please, can you still see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. I want to thank the host and every member of the team of this program who's been working behind the scene. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. So let's just dive in. Mental health and well-being for youth in high impact roles. I'm sure we have a lot of youth watching us, some on YouTube and some part of us, who are making impacts in different sectors where they are. And I must really commend you. And just a few seconds exercise. Just take a deep breath. If you have a turning point in time, maybe you've had to wake up around 3 a.m. because the world's problems won't let you sleep. Take a deep breath. If you've organized a protest, a campaign, you've negotiated with stakeholders, you've attended a youth conference just to level up your impact, or you've done a community project, you've advocated even in rooms where people twice your age barely listened. I must really commend you that you are doing well. And so today, we are not just talking about the impacts that we are making, but we are talking about how to keep them burning. Now, I want you to know that you are not alone. You are not alone. If you can see my first slide, you see urgency, responsibility, and visibility. Now, every youth out there making impacts, they've got this sense of urgency that, oh, I need to quickly act on this. I need to quickly execute this project. I need to quickly do this. And then responsibility. They feel the weight on their shoulder that, oh, if I don't do this thing, this is not going to be done. And then visibility. They're actually doing a lot, but people who are seeing them, they don't know what they're passing through. Now, we'll be starting with Aisha. Aisha is a 19-year-old, and she founded a youth-led organization which responds to people or victims of flood in the coastal community. She's been able to coordinate volunteers, she's been able to liaise with stakeholders, raise funds, even comforted families who lost everything, including her own relatives. Now, for 2 years, that energy was just there. She was running on pure adrenaline, the energy, purpose, vision, let me do this, let me do that. Then one fateful day, it's just like this law of elasticity that says the extension of an elastic object is directly proportional to the force, provided the elastic limit is not exceeded. And let me tell you, for all of us listening here, the very point we exceed that elastic limit will break down. And that is why I'm talking about the story of Aisha. Now, one fateful day, Aisha, she woke up at midnight. She was tired. She couldn't even get out of bed, not just from physical exhaustion alone, but from a crushing weight. The images of children crying, endless reports of worsening crises, and that she felt that no matter how hard that she pushed, the system pushed back harder. And then she decided that, okay, I'm just going to stop responding to messages. I'm going to ghost my team members and all those things. She didn't just disappear. She burned out. She said, I did not stop caring. I just kept stretching myself further, answering one more message, holding one more person's fear, taking one more task, because I thought stepping back would let people down. From the outside, it still looked like commitment. Inside, it was becoming depletion. Aisha is not alone. Aisha is you. Aisha is the person whose name is before yours and even after yours on this Zoom call. And this is why we are talking about mental health. What many young leaders carry? What is it that many young leaders out there carry? Purpose. You see the vision. You see, okay, yes, I have something I'm running with. I have something I want to do. I want to make impact. But this purpose comes like a two-edged sword. Purpose with pressure. And if we don't know how to balance it, then it can weigh us down. That's why sometimes you see people, they will say, oh, I want to start an NGO, I want to do this. And then when they get to the middle, they just feel burned out and they say, oh, I don't think I can take this anymore. Strain can stay hidden. They start feeling guilt. They start isolating themselves. They start becoming anxious. And what I want us to know is that purpose has a cost. A visible strength, but private strain. Now, why does silence persist? Why is it that most people, they do not speak up? You can't blame them, can you? Especially because of the generation we are in. Everything, social media, social media. If you see a man maybe who's in tears on social media, people will stigmatize him and say, oh, you are not strong. Oh, being vulnerable is being weak. No, being vulnerable is not being weak. Many young leaders stay quiet because struggle still carries stigma. They feel that people around them will say, oh, we are disappointed in you, you are not doing well, or you need some trainings, you are not up to the task, should we look for somebody else? So people, the young leaders already, they decide to keep to themselves and say, okay, I'm just going to keep enduring this. And that's why even systems keep rewarding endurance over honesty. Systems keep rewarding impact and not even concerned about what such person is going through behind the scene. Now, what are we supposed to put in place for things to change? We all have our part to play, young leaders, and even institutions out there. And I'll start with the NGOs, the policymakers and organizations. What is it that we need to do? Now, my core recommendation is a funded leadership responsibility. And what do we mean by this? It is for them to have an awareness that paying attention to what's going on behind the scene, to the mental health of youth making impact, should be prioritized. It should not be looked over at, should be funded. And when we say funded, that is to say, you're creating safe environments for them where they can express themselves.
My apologies for cutting you short. You have 2 minutes left.
Where they can express themselves. People are being trained, workloads that people can sustain, not going beyond it. Now, to the youth leaders listening to me, these are practical ways in which you can balance both, because let me be honest with you, it's just like you saying, oh, I eat rice, bread, that's just the only thing you feed on. You don't take fruits, you don't take the other classes of food. It's just a matter of time. The minerals, the vitamins that you are deficient in, they will begin to show. So you've got to balance it. First thing is build your toolkit, set boundaries. It's okay for you to say no. You can't afford to keep saying yes, yes, yes to everything. Draw a line. Notice the warning signs. After building your toolkit, then reconnect to purpose. Go back to your drawing board. Draw the line. Look at the structure and say, okay, what happened in the first place? What ignited your passion in the first place? Celebrate your small wins, no matter how small it is. You're seeking for a grant of thousands, you got just hundreds. Celebrate your wins. Seek and offer support. You must have people in your circle that you can open up to, that you can express yourself to. And also, collectively, you have to practice advocacy together. We have to shake that culture that says that to be vulnerable means to be weak. Now, let's look at Marcus as I round up. After a long stretch of carrying every message, request, and late-night decision himself, Marcus realized he could not keep calling exhaustion leadership. That was the turn. He spoke honestly with his team, he redistributed responsibility, and protected time to recover while staying committed to the mission. To the young leader listening to me, it's okay for you to delegate. It's okay for you to say, oh, I don't think I can do this. I just need time off. You just need to cool your brain. If you need to take 1 week vacation, it's okay for you to do so because your mental health matters. Lead for impact that lasts. What does this mean? Choose both. Don't just choose impact and say, yes, I want to make impact, but take care of yourself. The thing is, if something happens to you, there will always be a replacement. There will always be. So young leaders do not have to choose between courage and care. Strong leadership can be bold and humane at the same time. So I leave you with this charge: reject burnout, build new cultures, lead in a way that honors both the wound and the future. Why? Because sustainable leadership is how we keep showing up together. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for where you are making impact. And most importantly, your willingness to make that bold decision and be a part of this summit. You are a star. May you sustain the fire without being consumed by it. See you at the top. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Abimbola. I actually feel refreshed, and thank you for that deep breath exercise. Greatly needed. Okay, so we're moving on to our next key address, addressed by Fatoumata Sowe. Over to you, Fatoumata. Fatoumata, are you in the meeting? Is Fatoumata Sowe in the meeting?
Yes, I am. You hear me?
Okay, yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Fatoumata. I am the founder and the executive director of Gamjul. That was a very beautiful speech by my co-speaker. I would like to emphasize a little bit because she raised a point that is like caring has a cost, and I think when we truly care, we invest our time, energy, emotions, and sometimes even our resources, and this makes us vulnerable to disappointment, criticism, and sorry, I'm seeing something on my data. Okay, this makes us vulnerable to criticism and sometimes heartbreak. Yeah. And in the end, life is a life without caring may be easier, but it is far less meaningful. I would like to start. I think, hold on a second. I am to this. I would like to share my screen with you guys. Just a second. Okay. Oh, just a second. Just a second, guys, please. Are you seeing my screen? Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, let me just slide this over, something like that. I don't know how to put this off the screen. Here, just a second. Okay. That's what I don't want there, but it's still there. So sorry for that. I would like to start with truly I am honored to be part of the GLS 2026 summit. And I know that every day, like in my everyday life, I have the privilege of working with young people who are passionate about changing lives and strengthening communities. But through my journey, I have learned something important, that people creating the greatest impact are often carrying the heaviest emotional burden. And today I would like us to reflect on how we can continue changing the world without losing ourselves in the process. Okay, who are young change makers? When we say young change makers, we are talking about young people who choose action over comfort. They are the volunteers, they are the organization builders, they start businesses, they are the advocates for justice, and they solve problems in their communities. And these are the peoples shaping tomorrow. But with great responsibility often comes great pressure. the hidden cost of impact of mental health. This is a part where we rarely talk about. Um, People often celebrate like results. We celebrate like the awards, the achievements, but we don't see the sleepless nights, the stress, the anxiety, the emotional exhaustion. And behind all these is many like successful stories in someone silently wondering whether they have enough strength to continue. That's the next slide. Why mental health matters. Leadership is not only about intelligence, it's not only about skills. Leadership also depends on emotional well-being. When our minds are healthy, we think more clearly, we communicate better, we become more compassionate. Most importantly, we continue serving others without destroying ourselves. Common causes of mental health challenges. We often ask why burnouts happened, and the answer isn't just one thing. Sometimes it's unrealistic expectations, sometimes it is financial pressure, or trying to solve too many problems with too few resources, and sometimes we simply forget to rest. These pressures don't disappear overnight, they build over time. Okay, what are the signs that we have to watch out for in mental health and burnout? Like the burnout doesn't usually arrive suddenly. Most of the time we don't look at it, and it like they whisper before it shouts, you know. And this is something that is very, very important to look out for as an individual, especially a person that is leading. And maybe the signs can be like sleepless nights, and then sometimes you stop enjoying a walk you once loved, and maybe you withdraw from friends. And if we recognize these signs earlier, I think this would be an opportunity to ask for support before reaching a crisis. How to solve it? Like these are like 5 practical steps. I think the good news is that protecting our mental health doesn't always require huge
You
changes.
have 2 minutes left.
Oh, sorry. Sometimes it's choosing to rest, sometimes it's to say no, sometimes it's to ask for help, and sometimes it's to remind ourselves that we are human beings and before we are leaders. What organizations can do. This responsibility doesn't belong only to individuals. Organizations also shape the environments where young leaders grow. When organizations encourage balance, provide mentorship, and normalize conversations about mental health, will create leaders who can thrive for years rather than burn out after months. A healthy leader creates a healthy legacy. This may be my favorite message today. Communities become healthier when leaders are healthy. Impact becomes sustainable when leaders are well. The legacy we leave is measured only by when we accomplish. It's also measured by how we care for ourselves and those around us. The call to action. I would love to leave you with one challenge. Let's stop celebrating burnouts as if it were commitment. Let's create cultures where asking for help is seen as a strength. Let's build communities where well-being becomes part of leadership, and because the future truly needs healthy leaders. Remember, um, As I conclude, I would like to leave you with a few simple reminders. You are not alone. Like, you don't have to the feeling of you have to feel valid. Asking for help is not a sign of strength, weakness, but a sign of strength. And most importantly, your mental health matters because you matter. Let us continue to lead with courage, compassion, and resilience, remembering that healthy minds build stronger leaders, and strong leaders build a better world. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for each of the work each of you is doing. I hope today's conversation encourages you to continue leading with courage, but also with compassion for yourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation, for that wonderful address, choosing yourself and asking for help, amongst the many points that you've mentioned. Next to address us, we have Promise Adetoro. Are you available, Promise Adetoro? Are you in the meeting? Promise Adetoro? Promise Adetoro, are you in the meeting? Okay. Just to give our keynote addresser some time, I think one of the points that really stood out for me from the presentation was choosing yourself, and that is very true. It's very important to choose yourself. Sometimes, not all the time, that you have to put others before you, and asking for help is one of the major things that really take us out of the stress most of the times. And something that the first speaker also brought out was it is very okay to delegate, and that is something that most leaders do not really do or want to take up all the weight. So it's okay to delegate. All right. Due to lack of time, we're going to move on to our panelists. Okay, so on the panelists, we have about 4 panelists, and we have Kevin. My apologies if I pronounce it.
Can you hear me, Dr. Natasha?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm so sorry to cut in. So we're supposed to have 2 rooms, the main room and the room 1. However,
Okay.
I have just gone through the list of participants we currently have, and I could only see one of the panelists for the room 1 breakouts for the room 1. So other than just have one person as a panelist, I would want us to just have all the panelists here in the main room. Okay. So everybody will just be in the main room. So you could just call all the panelists, both for room 1 and for the main room, to join.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So on the panelists, we have Kelvin. My apologies if I mispronounce your name. Please do forgive me. All right, but I'll try my best. We have Kevin Esangilo, who is Director of Mama Zetu CBO Kenya. We have Denise Gizoka, who is CEO of VersaTech Global Solutions from Kenya as well. We have Zalum Onyechi, Youth Representative from Nigeria. We have Akshatha, my apologies, Jagan, who is member that teen from the USA. And we have Amira Harajili, who is youth representative from Lebanon. We have Kamar Ajir Victor, CEO and MD of RIJA-V Empire, Nigeria. And we have Ngale Dario Percy, who is Quality System and Product Dave Associate, Divine Favor SARL from Cameroon. And lastly, we have Rachel Akosika Adu, who is Executive Director of HealthReach from Ghana. All right, you're most welcome. And we're going to be sharing a series of questions, 5 questions. And as I ask each question, each panelist is allowed to comment in 3 minutes. Please, let's take note of the time. Our first question being, what does sustainable leadership actually look like in a practice for young people carrying the weight of high impact roles? And how do we normalize the conversation around mental health in those spaces? Please feel free to unmute and share your thoughts and insight. Any of the panelists can come through.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Zalum Onyechi. I'm from Nigeria. I'm a HR professional, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm very excited to be here. So to me, sustainable leadership is about creating a safe workplace, a culture, a workplace whereby people feel free that they can be able to speak up. So most of the times when you go to some organizations, right, there's this fear of speaking up. So even when people are burnt out, even when people are depressed, they are distressed, they can't talk because leadership have created that sort of fear within the organization. So as I believe that being a sustainable leader or having that sustainable leadership culture is all about building, first of all, a speak up culture within your space and also being approachable as a leader. That is one of the major quality for a leader. You have to be approachable. Your team members, people that you work with, colleagues should be able to come up to you and talk about such difficult topics like their mental health, like what they are going through when they're experiencing burnout. So to me, that's what I think sustainable leadership is all about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much for that insightful input. Once one panelist is done, the next panelist can unmute and give their comment on the question. The next panelist can comment on this. Okay, do we have any other panelists? Anybody? Okay. In the interest of time, we'll move on to our next question. Mrs. or Miss Zalum, we are all in for you today. All right, so our next question is, how do we culture attitudes towards mental health, particularly in Africa, Asia, and other non-Western contexts, shape the way young leaders experience and respond to burnout and emotional distress?
Thank you for that very lovely question, Dr. Natasha. So coming from an African nation, Nigeria, so one thing I can say is that in the non-Western world, what I've observed is that there's this stigma around, having a mental health issue, a mental health challenge. So people see you as weak. So you're termed, when you say, oh, you feel stressed, you feel depressed, they look at you as, aren't your mates? There's always this funny saying or common saying, why are you feeling that way? Your mates are not feeling that way. Your peers are happy. They are not sad. Why are you sad? Making it look like as if that means there's something fundamentally wrong with you. And without realizing that people have different emotional responses to things. People are not wired the same way. Everyone has their unique emotional triggers, right? So I feel like within the non-Western context, people should stop stigmatizing mental health and instead start talking about it more, being open about it more, even right from your home, right from your family. Your family should be able to see when you're withdrawing, to call you out and say, what is the problem? When you identify the stressors, then you start removing yourself away from it. That way, we get to create this world or this environment within the non-Western world whereby people feel more comfortable to talk about, people feel more comfortable to even go to therapy. Like even now, sometimes when you say it in the non-Western world that, oh, I'm going to therapy, it's like, what? Are you okay? Therapy? Are you crazy? I'm like, no, it's not that. You just want to talk it out. So there has to be that breaking away from that stigma, and so that people can feel more in tune with themselves. I mean, the most important thing is having a long, healthy, and peaceful life. That is the most important thing for everyone. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much for that. Identifying stressors and drawing away from it. I love that point. Thank you so much. Is there any other panelists that would like to add on? Any panelist that is available? Okay. Our next question is, what institutional responsibilities do organizations, NGOs, and development bodies bear in protecting the mental health and well-being of the young people they deploy in high-pressure roles?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So to me, organizations have a large role to play, or even NGOs, or any family body or society, right? So when people are in high pressure roles, they tend to feel more depressed easily because the pressure is there. They are not getting enough sleep. They are probably not getting enough enjoyment. Their life is revolving around their work or just that particular thing alone. And that really gets to people mentally. So what I feel that a lot of organizations can do is to listen more, right? In an organization, when you see or when you hear your people complaining that, oh, I feel burnt out, you see people coming to work feeling so sad, looking haggard, looking distressed. It's up to you within your team, as a leader within your team, it's up to you to see, okay, what is going on here? You can now have check-in calls with your people. You can have one-on-one check-in calls to see how are people doing, what is your stress or what is going on. And then when you see where people's pain points are, you can now start looking for initiatives to reduce it. Another thing is that you can also do some mental health webinars. So some people are not even aware or exposed to what they can do, some little action tips that they can take to be able to better improve their mental health. So for example, one of the keynote speakers mentioned about saying no sometimes to certain tasks. So some people, because they are trying to please people in the organization, they just collect everything, even when they cannot do it all. So they put themselves under unnecessary stress that if they had just spoken up or said no about, they would have been removed from that situation. So I feel that organizations need to talk more about it. NGOs also need to hold programs. So even something like this GLS that we are doing is a good way of creating awareness for mental health and also removing that stigma from the whole mental health issue, right? So that's what I think organizations can do.
Okay, thank you so much for that solution. Actually, organizations need to listen more. Check-in calls need to be introduced. And when identified what the stressor is, bring in initiatives on how to eradicate it. Thank you so much. Do we have any new panelists that have joined in the call?
Hello.
Anybody?
Oh, yes.
Okay, awesome. Please do feel free to comment. The question was, what institutional responsibilities do organizations, NGOs, and developmental bodies bear in protecting the mental health and well-being of young people they deploy in high-pressure roles?
Okay, thank you for the question, for recounting the question. One thing I'm going to first of all say is, before a company or an organization asks the youths that what is their impact, they should be able to ask them that what can we do to help you to continue providing or to continue having this impact. What can they do? They can organize a mental health classes, not only classes, but even to sponsor like therapy for these working individuals, because even as simple as sports, dances, yoga can help to also relieve the mental health. Also, they can like organize talks, normalize talking with their workers especially the young ones, normalize asking them what is wrong. Do you need help with this or that? Are you feeling all right? Because only one question can help them open up, and opening up also helps to relieve your mental health. Because it's one thing to be able to work, but it's another thing to be having that load on your head. You might have even problems at home. You can have problems generally, and you need just one person to talk to help you relieve that burden. So I believe that organizations can create time to talk to their workers and ask them what they are going through. Also, they can avoid overloading them, because overload is also a possibility to help degrade the mental health of young people. If the organizations can make it in such a way that they give them breaks and space to actually how do you call it, to go through and get used to the workload they give them, it's also going to help them relieve the mental health burden. Because as the other panelists have said, there is actually a stigma on mental health generally in young people, because people don't believe that as a young person you should have this mental health stigma, or you should not be fine while working. Whereas it's actually a big thing now, whether it's in Africa or out of Africa, it's actually a big thing not not being, or to not having the mental capacity to continue working. So I believe that that's what organizations can do to support these people when they're working.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for that beautiful contribution. We'll be moving on to the next question, and that is, how can young leaders build genuine emotional resilience without slipping into a culture of toxic productivity that glorifies overwork and sacrifice as badges of honor? Over to any panelist. We have 3 minutes to answer the question.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So to me, I feel that for young people not to slip into the toxicity of being overproductive and overworking is that you need to find a balance. I always say, yes, it's good to be hardworking, but not hardworking to the point where you hate your work. So you have to find a balance, find what makes you happy. You can always decide that if you work Monday to Fridays, you can decide your Saturdays are for you to do what you love, to do what makes you happy, to be with your family and your friends that makes you feel excited and part of the society. Another thing I also advise people to do is that don't be too focused on, let's say, promotion. Don't let your focus be wholly on promotion. So I've seen some people whereby within an organization, their main focus is, oh, I need to get promoted. I need to be better than this person in my peer, in my set. And as such, they would overkill themselves just to be better, just to achieve that promotion. They even go above, more than above expected. And yet, at the end of the day, they promote you, and then they promote the person that is still doing the work and still finding some form of balance and joy in their life. So there's no point for you to overkill yourself or cause yourself to be sad within a work that you're meant to integrate into your life. So I also feel that one thing again that young people can learn to do in order to build emotional resilience is to be proactive in their work. So most times when you're working, there are certain things that can come up that you can already predict that this is the next step. When you have a bit of free time, start to do that next step work so that when that pressure is coming later on in the future, it won't get to you because you've already done some proactive work. So that's my take on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that insightful contribution. Finding a balance, find what makes you happy and not entirely focusing on getting the promotion. Okay, any other panelists that would like to contribute to the question?
Okay, I can add. So what I would like to say is young people need to understand that protecting your mental health does not make you far or less a smaller person or someone who cannot deliver in your activities. Rather, it helps you to continue doing what you're actually working on. So I believe that young people can engage in physical activities or even activities that can help them forget or relieve themselves. Also, young people should also learn how to share. Like, if a task is too heavy for you, you can always ask for help. You can say, okay, I need team members to help me share this task. It's also going to help reduce the burden or reduce the load you are carrying. Also, you should also talk to people around you, talk to anyone, try to speak, because speaking helps to relieve yourself, as I earlier said. And also, you should be self-aware, because I have a health hospital background, and in the hospital, you always notice people have these symptoms, probably fatigue, body aches, and they ignore them, saying that, oh, it's probably because I'm tired. Whereas you are emptying yourself, you are draining yourself. So when you realize this kind of symptoms or this kind of reactions, you should slow down. You should slow down a little bit so that you don't drain yourself, because draining yourself mentally can affect you health wise. It can affect you mentally wise in every situation or direction in your life. So that's young people need to be very self-aware and also act in that awareness. Thanks.
Great, great. Thank you so much for that wonderful contribution. Sharing helps reduce the burden and actually brings relief. That is very true. And sharing doesn't make you a smaller person at all. Thank you so much for those powerful What would a mental health conscious leader, and what would it take to make in improvement spaces? Over to you.
Sorry, please, can you repeat the question? The network was kind of shaky.
Oh, okay, not a problem. What would a mental health conscious leadership culture look like at the organizational level? And what would it take to make that norm rather than the expectation in impact-driven spaces?
Okay. So to me, I think being conscious about mental health within an organization should look like is a place where leaders are self-aware, just as how my fellow panelists put it. Self-awareness is very important and very key. So leaders need to be self-aware within the organizational space that, yes, people can get burnt out. Yes, I don't need to overwork my people to the point where they are burnt out. I have to be a sort of, let me put it like sort of like a mother or a father to these people, and I am looking out for their well-being. So in terms of assigning work, be intentional in the way you assign work. Don't assign maybe about 10 tasks to one person and expect them to deliver within the next day. And also be considerate. So even if you assign a voluminous task to someone and you set the deadline for the next day, if the person doesn't deliver and has a very cogent reason, or you can even see that the timeline is very unreasonable, you should also learn to, should I say, forgive, let go, and look for a way to better organize the whole timelines that are being given to tasks. So I feel like once leaders are more self-aware, once leaders look out for their people, or intentional about the way they protect their people's mental health, you will see that even in organizations, from the start, the culture within a unit or a department will be such that the leader tells you, oh, okay, this is how we work, this is how we share work. If there's anything, please speak up, let me know, so that we'll know how to reassign the work, know how to reassign the task, so that we will still be productive as a team, but everyone still has some sort of balance in their life. That's what I think. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that wonderful contribution. Does the other panelists want to add on to what has been shared?
No, it's fine. It's fine. You can go ahead.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I loved what you shared, saying leaders need to be self-aware and intentional about caring for their employees and being intentional and thoughtful, especially when it comes to assigning work to employees. That is very, very true. So, do you have any contributions to any of the questions that have been asked, or there was a point that you did not complete and you would like to complete it so that we can head into the Q&A section?
No further comments from me. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you so much. All right, over to the audience. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask? Feel free to unmute and ask your question. Or if there's something that you have learned and it's just a take-home message or a point that really stood out for you, please feel free to unmute and share what you have learned.
All right. Thank you very much, Natasha. It's been an amazing session so far, and I would say I've really learned a lot from this particular session. And my only contribution to this session is about the organizational contribution to the mental stability of its workers. And one thing that I would like to say, because I work for Dentsu International, which is a global media agency. We have a branch here in Nigeria where I am currently. So I would like to say that a lot of work ethics have been implemented into the work that we do here. And I would say that they actually reduce burnout, which includes, a yoga session for workers, which happens like once in a week. And we also have a particular session where we have been addressed by professionals, therapeutic persons who comes to our organization, once in a while to address people about mental stability and how to be on top of the games and how to maintain work balance in line with the work that we do. And also with regards to work culture, we tend to maintain a very sane work culture, and in order to avoid burnout, there are sessions where, or there are occasions where, if you feel tired from work, you can actually go and relax a bit, and come back. It's not just about the work all the time. You just have to maintain the balance and have a kind of very friendly approach towards the work that you do, so that your workers don't actually burn out and get stressed by the workloads. And I would say that maintaining a very good culture at work actually makes sense. And for example, one of the recent developments in the organization has been that every workers needs to understand that if they're having any personal issue at homes, they can actually bring it down to work. You have to make sure that your emotional attachment at home, for a married person, for example, you're having issues at home with your husband, or you have a family issue and you get emotional, you don't have to come and bring it down on the workers at work. You have to make sure that everything is actually being handled carefully, and make sure that you come to work with the great working spirit for you to be able to work with every other persons at work diligently, so that the work can run smoothly. So creating a very good environment for your workers to work actually maintains and take care of their mental stability. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to a more insightful session.
Wow, thank you so much for that wonderful and insightful contribution. We actually have another question in the chat, and it says, we often discuss mental health as a healthcare issue, but should we begin treating it as a development issue? How can government integrate mental well-being into education, employment, entrepreneurship, and economic policy rather than leaving it solely to health ministries? That's quite a question. It's quite a mouthful. Our panelists, over to you.
So sorry, please, can you repeat the question?
Oh, okay. So the question says, we often discuss mental health as a healthcare issue, but should we begin treating it as a development question? So that's like the first part of the question. Then the second part of the question says, how can government integrate mental well-being into education, employment, entrepreneurship, and economic policy rather than leaving it solely to health ministries? Have we gotten the question?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
So I would like to try to answer the question. So firstly, I believe that treating mental health as only a health problem isn't fair, because it is actually a situation that affects every part of you, because it doesn't only affect your health, it also affects your productivity, your creativity, and the way you move. So I believe that governments, in fact, organizations should support any mental health awareness campaign, training that actually can help to alleviate this issue, because it is really not only a problem that leads to the hospital, it affects the way you live generally. So I like in schools, the government can train children, or can already pass out information to the students that they need to be emotionally ready, they need to be resilient, they need to be aware that there will come moments where they will be emotionally tested, but they need to be strong in order to thrive through that period. Also, organizations can sponsor these mental health campaigns, because there are a lot of mental health campaigns that most organizations, like what the earlier panelist was talking about, most organizations sponsor mental health awareness campaigns, trainings to help relieve this issue. So I believe that governments, employers, organizations, institutions can support these movements by sponsoring, by inviting even institutions that promote mental health in young people, in everybody, because it's not only young people that are involved in mental health burnout, even adults, even aged people are involved in this. So yes, it is not only it is not only a health issue, but it is also a developmental issue. I don't know if this answers the question that was asked.
Great. Thank you for that address. Does the other panelist want to add anything else?
All right. Thank you very much. And I would start by addressing the fact that human beings are a product of nurture and nature, and that is why I would say that when it comes to the nurture, is meant the way we're being treated and the way we receive people, and how people actually treat us, and how we interact with people. And speaking of nature, it depends on what we are seeing in our environment, and what we are seeing around. So I would say that when it comes to mental stability, it's a lot of things comes to play. I mean, you have to come from a very good society. The things that you see, your brain translates everything and makes you feel like, okay, this is how you reach conclusions, because this is what you've been growing up with and how you've been treated by people. So I would say that mental stability is actually a responsibility that needs to be taken care of by both the private sector and the governmental sector. And I believe that the government can actually help by putting environmental stabilities in place, environmental upgrade, for people to have easy access to things, like the way our rail stations are being used, when it comes to bus stations, when it comes to roads, when it comes to electricity, they have to like make sure that these things are in place to actually facilitate our mental health and also make sure that we have easy access to these things at a very reasonable cost, because anybody that doesn't have access to these basic human needs tends to be like provoked, and that is actually how a whole lot of bad things and frustrations get into the society. Because if someone is not feeling right and you are having a kind of interaction with that person outside, then the person can actually vent the anger on you, which actually escalates, and we have societal disorder through this. And I believe that on a long run, it's because of the governmental downside. And when it comes to private sector, I believe organizations can actually do well by um, putting in place structures that actually work for their workers, and making sure that they have a very good working condition that makes their work easier. And through this, I would say that it's a mental stability of people is actually a responsibility of the private and the public sector. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for those wonderful contributions, thoughtful contributions. I have learned a lot myself. I hope the question has been answered. Is there any other question from our audience? Please feel free to unmute. It may not be a question, it may actually something that you have learned or something that has stood out for you in this session.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Yes, please feel free.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Precious. Very insightful session. But I want to, I don't know if this is a question or more like a contribution or what I've noticed, right? So there was a point about setting boundaries and not overworking yourself, right? So, but I've noticed that when you say you, for instance, Zalom mentioned having the weekends to yourself and doing what you love. Sometimes some organizations, when you mention that, they start questioning your commitment. If you say you cannot work during the weekends, or you are able to finish your work within the working hours, and maybe you don't stay past your working hours. Once it's closing time, you're done with your work, you go. They just start to see that, oh, because you're not staying for maybe an extra 30 minutes, or you're not available after you leave the office or during the weekends, they question your commitment. So in uh, you trying to create boundaries and have like a personal time for yourself, which sounds like a healthy thing to do, you get your commitment to the organization gets questioned. I want to, is there like a line? Is there a place where that a line can be drawn? Is there like, what are like the nuances regarding this, not overworking yourself, but also having boundaries? Or is it the organizational problem?
Okay, our panelists. Yes, please.
Hi, Precious. Thank you very much for that question. So I understand what you mean. That is very true. There are some times whereby you say, oh, on Saturday you are going to, you're going to take that day off and do what you love. So the thing is that, yes, in some places, it might be that they look at you as you are not pulling your weight. But one thing is that, as I mentioned before, doing proactive work. So most times what I've seen is that when you have appeared blameless, in the sense that you've done the work that is due to you, you've even gone above and beyond to look for more that you can do, right, within a reasonable hour. And yes, I'm not saying that you cannot put in extra hours, because normally in work, there's always that time where you have to put in extra hours, either during the week or either during Saturdays, but you can share your time. So on Saturdays, you can decide that, okay, this Saturday, I want to put in 2 hours extra into work and finish up certain things or do some proactive work. And afterwards, you then go and do your own personal thing that gives you that balance in your life. You can decide you want to go to the gym later in the evening to just interact with people. You can decide you want to go out with friends, but you can also decide that, okay, I'm still going to do my work. So even if you're seeking like your pursuit of mental health, one thing I always tell people is that don't look at work as the enemy. Look at work as something like now when you have chores to do in the house, you will still do your chores, but you will still go out and do something fun. So look at work that way, whereby you can still do your work, but also do something that gives you joy as well. So you can find that integration in your life whereby, yes, you can work on weekends, it's not a problem, but it doesn't mean when I wake up by maybe 7 o'clock on Saturday, I'm going to work 7 to 7 on Saturday, then work 7 to 7 again on Sunday, then go to work on Monday, work another 8 to 5 Monday. No, you can find a bit of balance in your life. I hope that helps a bit.
Wow. Thank you so much for that input. I hope your question has been answered, Precious. We have actually come to the end of our session. And just in closing, there's a contribution that has been sent in the chat, and it says, mental health is not only a healthcare issue, it is an economic, educational, technological, and governance issue. When a young person lacks opportunities, financial security, quality education, or digital access, the impact is not only economic, it also affects hope, resilience, and mental well-being. If we want healthier societies, we must build healthier systems. Thank you so much to our well-abled panelists that have gracefully taken us through this session. Thank you to each and every one of you that has contributed, asked questions, or shared what they have learned. I hope that we'll implement what we have learned today. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the session. Over to you, Magdalene. Thank you. I was your moderator, Dr. Natasha Chileshamnenga. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Magdalene.
you, Dr. Natasha. Thank you. I want those emojis to please keep going up. I mean, both for the moderator, for the panelists, please put your hands together to celebrate them for such an incredible session. Dr. Natasha, I want to especially say thank you. You did a fantastic job for the 2 sessions that you moderated. Thank you so much. Right now, we will be going to the last session. But before we do, I know you have put your hands together to celebrate the panelists and the moderator for this last session, but I want you to also celebrate yourself. You have stayed this long for this program. It's been a long day, but a very, very worthy event for you to have spent your time here with us. So please celebrate yourselves for staying this far, for all the things we have been learning. Celebrate all the speakers that have spoken so far, and of course, celebrate the organizers of this event. Thank you very much. So like I said, we have one more session to go, and we are going to ensure that this session is as quick as possible just so that we can wrap up for the day. And the last session, which is 12 of this event, the topic is food, land, and tech, youth driving sustainable agriculture and food security. And the moderator for the session is Mavitidi Don Emmanuel, the COE Bilanga Group from Congo. I don't know if he's on the call today. Are you on the call, Don Emmanuel? Is Don Emmanuel on the call? While we wait for Don Emmanuel to confirm if he's on the call, I would like to also introduce the panelists for this very session. And the first panelist that we have is Emmanuel. Let me apologize in advance if I do not call your name properly. I'm going to try my best, but please pardon me. The first panelist is Emmanuel Tuisigi, the CEO and founder of Everland Agritech Uganda.